truck. Within minutes, a crowd of cops, park police, metropolitan police, some on foot, others in scout cars, sirens wailing, were on the scene. Wiggins was back too. A manhunt ensued, and shortly after 1 p.m., a detective spotted Ray near the crime scene. Soaking wet, tipsy, blood on his right hand. He was questioned, cuffed, identified by Wiggins, hauled to the police department's headquarters, booked, placed in a lineup, identified by Wiggins again. A week later, Raymond Crump, Jr. was indicted for first-degree murder. At first, word was that Mary Pinchot Meyer's murder stemmed from a botched robbery. Robbery motive seen in shooting of D.C. artist, the Washington Post told its readers on October 13th, but a day later the Evening Star reported, rape weighed as motive in death of Mrs. Meyer. That same day, a Washington Post front-page story explained the switch. The victim's pocketbook and wallet had been found in her studio, where an electric fan was still blowing on a newly finished painting. Robbery? Rape? Ray's mother, Martha Crump, believed in her bones that her son, the oldest of 3, had not killed that white lady, let alone tried to rob or rape her. At her pastor's urging, Mrs. Crump pleaded with Dovey J. Roundtree to take her son's case. Roundtree's reputation was legend in the black community. Martha Crump's pastor called her a righteous lawyer. At first, Dovey doubted Ray's innocence. From what she had heard and read, the government's case against him was strong, very strong. But at the end of their first meeting in the D.C. jail on that late October day, Roundtree was convinced that Ray was many things, definitely none too bright, but no murderer. So she, long a champion and defender of nobodies, the poor, the shunted aside, the brutalized, the degraded, the broken, was ready to fight like a tiger for Ray. And she had this hanging over her head. If her defense failed, if a jury found Ray guilty of first-degree murder, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. Or he could draw his last breath in a small chamber on the 4th floor of the D.C. jail, strapped into its electric chair, riding the lightning. Chapter 1. Those Poor Broken Feet. Dovey Mae Johnson Roundtree came from fighting stock, was mentored and molded, inspired, pushed forward, blessed by warriors throughout her life. First and foremost was her maternal grandmother, Rachel Graham. Born poor, born after the Civil War in the early 1870s. Born in the South during Reconstruction, when in the face of fierce and steaming racism, legions of courageous people, black and white, strove through speeches, rallies, and most important, through political and legal maneuvers to make America catch up to its creed. In December 1865, chattel slavery had been abolished by the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. 4 months later came the nation's first Civil Rights Act. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 established that, except for Native Americans living on reservations, all people born in the United States were citizens of the nation with full and equal benefit of all laws. Republican congressmen were responsible for this law at a time when many abolitionists and civil rights activists made up the Republican Party. But a law could be easily repealed. Not so with a constitutional amendment. Through Republican efforts, in 1868 came the 14th Amendment. To birthright citizenship was added naturalized citizenship. What's more, the amendment banned states from denying anyone within their borders life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and the equal protection of the laws. Hope for a just America surged even more in February 1870, when black men gained the right to the national vote through the 15th Amendment. 5 years on, in 1875,